the buildings got bought out by separate shipping companies. So I drove through there, and all the parking spots, everything that was in the middle,
Yeah, the big parking
it's
lot.
just trucks. It's just trucks. Yeah, it's just 18-wheelers and shit just parked. And
Damn, that
then
means we
yeah, and then
spent
they're
a
just
year
using
of our life
everything
in
for
a
a
truck
warehouse.
stop. Just want you to know
I
that.
know.
Yeah, we spent the entire year of our life in truck stops. All
The
right, I'm gonna start
spot,
this. I'm gonna
the
start this
lunch
for
spot's the same though.
the lunch spot's the same.
The lunch spot's the same.
Oh, the lunch. We'll get to the lunch spot. This is everybody who's tuning in. Me and Jamal are drunkenly talking about shit. This is
Yeah.
something different for the channel that we're gonna call this Clutch Kick. This is like the RevMatch Formula Drift companion. Obviously, we're late to the game. They're 4 rounds in by the time we're starting this. So this first episode
We
is
had
just
this
kind of
idea a while ago, but
we did have we just haven't
it just
executed it
kind of
just because we're both. We have shit going on, right? People have
yeah.
things
And
going
it's
on,
been a
and
weird year. It's been a
it's
weird
been
year. This was the last thing that was on my mind. Truthfully, it was
first.
Formula
That's
G.
fair. Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't. I mean, dude, we'll get to we'll get to all the notes that I have written down right here that have accumulated, not exaggerating, in the last 18 hours. So I've watched 4 rounds of drifting in 18 hours. It was a lot.
Oh, dude, I at least let it go 2. I've been catching up over the
I'm
course
a
of a month.
chronic procrastinator. It's bad. So yeah. So we're gonna do this as just a Joe Rogan fight companion, but for Formula Drift, something the sport. And something I noticed today watching this is that the sport that I remember us growing up to go watch was real party vibe. Everything was fucking everybody drove like Chelsea to Nofa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody in the fucking sport drove like that, and it was just a fucking wild ass thing. And it's watching the sport now
Makes you a little
from
sad.
well, it's I remember watching the very first season of Formula Drift on G4 TV on cable, which doesn't even exist anymore.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it
Ooh.
was Gucci and Vaughn were in factory backed not SN95, S297 Mustangs, the
Yeah.
Falcon ones, and then
Oh, and Gucci was in the Cobra. I
Gucci was in the
remember that.
Cobra.
Yeah, he brought the Cobra out to El Toro.
That's right. Sam Hubinet was in a fucking Viper.
Or
No,
the
he was in a
Challenger.
Charger. He was in a
The
Charger when
Charger,
he
yeah, the
when he
big
first.
four-door Charger.
That dude drove the dumbest shit. And Reese Millen was in a GTO. He was in that
I
yellow
forgot.
fucking GTO.
I
Yeah,
forgot
dude.
he had that GTO.
Because
Dude,
he had
okay,
the
so that
GTO and the Solstice
that
and then
makes
all the.
that quick question. This has been on my mind for a couple of days. Reese
Okay.
Millen, best car he was in,
And I'm gonna have to bring up a
right?
photo of this so everybody can see it afterwards. He had a fire loadout. Like that dude always had some fucking fire loadout. Like he had the GTO, which was it was just cool because it was like a random car that half people had forgotten about until
And it was a
now everybody.
V8.
Yeah, it was a V8. It was a 6.2 V8 manual car you could get in America, right? Which is tight, other than a
Right.
Mustang, because wasn't a there wasn't even a Camaro out at that time, bro. Think about that shit for a second.
Wait,
The
when did
fifth
the
gen Camaro.
Camaro came out? Because what's the
I
name?
don't think there
Burger.
was.
Burger used to drive the Camaro.
I think that was the second season though.
Conrad Gunro.
Yeah,
God, I'm fucking his
Grunwald.
name up. Yeah.
It's okay. He never drove well enough to remember, so it's okay.
No,
I'm
no.
kidding. He was.
He killed
He
it
had his moments.
one season. Yeah, he had one
He
season
did.
where I was like, okay, he figured it out, and then they let him go.
You know what was crazy to me is I didn't realize is that Dye's only won one championship. I always thought he'd won multiple championships, and I found out today when they were showing
No,
the
just one.
championship standings, and it was like Chris
Yeah,
Forsberg hasn't won in a minute. Vaughn hasn't won in
yeah,
a minute.
yeah. I think
And then
Vaughn might win this year.
I think considering he's got 2 under his belt, I think spoilers. Vaughn getting junior has 2 wins under his belt in 4 rounds. Whatever.
Right.
My bad.
He won round 3 and 4 back to back.
Round 3 and 4
But
back to back. Hey, guess what? We just finished the whole podcast. Don't bother listening. Peace out. No, there's a lot of crazy shit that actually happens in these first 4
Yeah,
rounds.
I mean, we can get into that, but as I was looking at it today and I was looking at the standings and who's won what and what events are left, I was like, the events that are left are Vaughn's kind of tracks. Like, he always does very well at Irwindale, and Texas is big and fast too, and he likes that, so
That's
he might pull that out.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue into like what one of my first points about just watching Top 32 in St. Louis. So round one. So the way that they've been running is if you're like us and haven't been watching the season all year and are gonna pick it up now, because of COVID, everything is a doubleheader. So there's Friday Pro 2 a lot of the times, and then sometimes they get to practice for like 5 hours. They don't get all day practice; they get like a 5 hour practice, depending on the way
Right,
that.
but they're there all week. I can't stand that whole like, oh, they only get to practice. No, they've been there all week. Like media day is
Yeah,
usually like Wednesday or
that's
something.
true, and they do
A
show
lot of the
up. And
drivers show
anytime,
up like
yeah,
Monday or Tuesday.
yeah, and I mean anytime you even have an opportunity, because like I get it, especially in a situation like this, so it's like we're gonna be there anyway. We'd rather be there early and set up. And if there's at any point we can get out for like 2 laps
Do
just
it.
to see what the fuck is going on. Like, we're gonna do it. Oh, media wants me to do a demo. Fuck yeah, let's roll. Like, it's doing some time in
Yeah,
the car, right?
yeah,
Because it had been almost a year, right, since they had run last. So there was a big gap in the seasons, and a lot of these guys didn't get to drift unless I mean they were all doing like a bunch of these dudes were like doing like small drift events, proams. I know
yeah. Just
Literal
getting
was
seat
out there in the
time.
S14, like doing a bunch of shit and like yeah, just trying to
Yeah,
drive, right? And
Ryan Turk was out there driving all the time.
I
Yeah, a lot
firmly
of dudes.
believe he
That's I
took
think that's what they were just doing.
Yeah, I firmly believe he took that Hoonigan drag racing episode just to like fucking get a little more seat time in the car.
Oh, definitely. He
Yeah,
didn't think he was gonna win.
yeah, I know. Anyway, um, but yeah, so that's kind of that's the setup, right? That's what we're running into. So every event is a back to back. They've done 2 events, but 4 rounds technically, right? And at this point, Vaughn is in first. I can bring up the standings
No,
right now.
no.
No,
Vaughn's in third. Ryan Turek, I think, is in first.
you're full of shit.
No, bro, he's podiumed at like 3 or 4 events.
I know
Where's
he's.
my
Oh, you're
notes?
right. No, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ryan Turk's
Vaughn's
in first.
second.
And Osbo's in third. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
Vaughn's second.
JTP's in fourth.
Yeah,
Because he's
it's
been
a
placing.
wild.
He's been placing really well.
Yeah, but he hasn't been driving well.
He hasn't been driving well. Neither has Ken Gucci, but he was injured. We'll get into all this stuff. We'll get into. I mean, there's
Yeah,
the guys that you didn't expect to.
that's the
Oh,
funniest thing. Like you would never expect to hear that, and like drifting. It's like, yeah, Kingu should be doing better, but he got hurt. It's like, this is
yeah.
basketball.
I want to point out that Adam LZ is. Let me see this right here. Adam LZ is
10th, I think. No, no, no.
30 points. Yeah, he's 30 points ahead of Ryan.
Of who?
Ryan Literal. Literal's a solid driver though. That's the thing.
Literal's a very solid driver, and I think his issue, along with like some other drivers, is that he's better in a different car than what he's.
Than
If
what he's
Ryan Literal
driving.
was, yeah, if Ryan Literal was able to compete in his 14 instead of the Z, I think like he'd be doing a lot better than he is right now. He's so
He's,
comfortable in that car. Ken Gucci
it's,
too. Ken Gucci and Dayoshi Hara are S chassis drivers. You put them in S chassis and they do amazing. You put them in anything else.
Dio
Won
Shihara in
his
that F13.
championship in an S chassis.
Yeah,
And
it's
that thing
true.
looked like the year he won, he had like one of those
It was the
Daigo
first gen.
Saito, James Dean kind of seasons where it was like from
Couldn't do no
Long Beach,
wrong.
you were like, nah, like nobody's gonna like he's gonna
Mhm.
have to lose. Like
And
his
that car
car's gonna
was
have to break
sick,
down.
dude.
And
That
he
that
was
was like
God,
such a
that
cool
car was
car
great.
for an
That car
S13
was
that
great.
had played out to, as fuck. Like, and it
Yeah.
was like it's a Rocket Bunny S13. It's like cool. Like, nah, that car had like. So I'm just gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
That car had
That
some
was a
spice to it,
beautiful
dude.
car. It was something about that car that was really nice.
That was the discount tire one, right?
Yeah, the red discount tire car. The V8 in it.
Oh, fuck, I forgot all about. Bro, look at how crispy this motherfucker is,
Oh
dude.
God, right?
And this was one of the first like faster V8 S13s.
Yeah.
Like this was like when this was kind of the car that lit that fire in. I mean, people were running LS swaps like concurrently, obviously, but like this was like the first one where it was like, oh, this is like the sauce that I need to be using right now. This kind
Right.
of like it transitioned into the really kind of boring years of fucking FD, where it was like everybody was in a V8 swap something, right? Like everybody was just pushing V8s
Yeah,
for like two
everybody's
seasons, right?
car. Yeah, it was maybe 2 or 3 seasons where it was like
That's when I mean
everybody and everything. There was G35s with V8s and
V8s. Do you
superchargers.
remember that year that we went to fucking Long Beach and there was that team from Japan and they all had like blower swap V8 fucking like there was like an SC400 and like a
Right,
G35 and like an
right,
S15. Yeah, all of
exactly.
them. Yeah,
But
and
that
that's
was
why it's
everybody. That you saw RX-7s. That people were pulling the
oh,
Dorito out and
that's
putting
right.
V8s
That
in
was
them.
when that whole fucking thing started, dude. That's like when
Yeah,
the
it was
whole
just like
fucking shit.
V8 the world. But then you get guys like Forrest Wang who just are like, nah,
Nah, put a 2J in it.
nah.
I'll get back to Forrest Wang because I think it's an unfortunate state of the sport that a guy like Forrest Wang with all that talent and style can't be competitive because of the
Yeah,
way that the rules are written and the way that it's
yeah,
Formula Drift has become like boxing in the sense that like Floyd Mayweather is the most boring person on the planet to watch, but he is an amazing boxer. He plays by the rules of the sport and he gets to where he wins that way, right? And that's like kind of how drifting is getting. Like the guy that's the least entertaining to watch is probably going to win.
Chris Forsberg.
You heard it here
Uh,
first, folks. He's let's like
No,
let's
no,
deal with
no.
let's dive into it. Let's dive into it. So
I'll put
so
no, definitely not because Chris is a great driver. Um, I see what you're saying. I think it's to me, it just seems like the rules are so almost like not in cement, so the judges get to like pick how they enforce it for each like round.
I had some calls that I agreed. There was like an OD call that I didn't agree with, and like there was some shit where it's like it was real. It was I don't know, and maybe it's just like the technology the sport has now, but it used to be so fucking cut and dry. Like when there was like contact, it was like the dude hit the other dude wrong. And that was it. Fucking
Right.
move on with your life. And now it's like, hold up, let's see if he was breaking. And I'm like,
And see, I think that like
that's not a bad change. Like that's not a bad change. It just changes the feeling of the sport.
yeah, because now you're telling me as the lead driver, okay, so this is I guess this does segue into the whole Forest Wang thing. Once you start giving me acceleration and decel zones and all this kind of stuff, now you're kind of telling me as a lead driver like this is how you're supposed to drive. So you're
Yes.
kind of mapping out like
Yes.
my style for
There
me.
is
It's
no
like
and when you think
back in
about
the
it though,
day, you had to know like as a chase driver back in the day, dudes like Kuma Kubo and Reese Millen, they didn't
yeah,
care. If you were
they just fucking
slow, I'm
ran.
on your ass. If you're
Yeah.
fast, I'm on your ass. It
Yeah.
doesn't
I'm just
matter. Like now
yeah.
dudes can't chase certain cars. It's like, oh well, he hit the brakes. You got a brake pedal too.
Yeah, try to keep
Like
it. And I think that that is a good point. Like a guy like Forrest Wang who throws a fuckload of angle into shit, and he's gonna break later to do shit like that. He's gonna break harder to do that shit. He's gonna break
but you
for
know
some.
that's coming. So throw some
Yeah,
angle at him and keep going. Like it's
you
your
know.
job as the chase driver to follow this guy.
Yeah, but but they've dug into this, and I don't know if it's when the FIA took notice or whatever, because the FIA loves to write rules for shit. But like, so there was always the idea of like the 100 point run, right? Like it's a 100 point run. But in a lot of other sports, you can get a numerical value for the quality of your performance, but there's no strict criteria as to when and where you. So it's like imagine a skateboard competition where you get a 1 through 10, right? But they don't tell you what tricks you have to perform. They tell you how good of a job you did, right? That's the way it
Right.
used to be.
Yeah, if you
Now
yeah,
there is a picture perfect run. Like you should come here, you should go there, you should initiate this way, it should look that way, you should come back this way, and then exit this way, and that's a 100 point run, right? And you're trying to meet that. Well, then nobody gets to have any fucking style anymore.
exactly.
And it like I
You
get
kill you're almost killing what like made this sport special was
and
like
this is
the style of every driver.
and that's what like for me, I just want to go side with homies and have fun. Like I don't fucking want to compete against anybody. I don't want to win anything. I just want to go
I mean, I
fucking
would
ham.
if it was more fun.
Yeah, but I mean, like when you consider how like Pro 2 is now, where it's like just baby Pro 1, you know what I mean? It's like you got to have a 700 horsepower car to be competitive, and then guess what? You can't afford to compete at the next level. So it's like you're just like stuck in this race. You know, you're driving the same dudes all the time.
Right, and then they don't even push Pro 2 well enough that like anybody watches it. So it's like you don't
We'll
know
pick
who's in
anybody up.
Pro 2.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's not even there. There's not
Like
even a
unless you're
32
Ryan
car
Literal
field
and you're pushing yourself to where like you're already popular before you get to Pro 1, it's like,
Do you remember when drift events had top 64
yeah. When like
back
people
in the
showed up from everywhere.
because you could roll up with a car you built in your garage and be competitive.
Yeah.
You
You
had
could
just, I
Bubba
mean,
Drift and pull up in an El Camino with a
do you remember
welded
how
wrench
many?
as an
Do
e-brake.
you remember how many times that dude pissed off Reese Millen? That shit was so funny. He would get on camera and be like, "He's just so slow."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Reese Millen's in a 600 horsepower full cage fucking
Right.
GTO. This dude's in an El Camino with like not and like none of the things that you would throw at an El Camino now to try and make it go sideways. He just like I put some
No, it's like
coilovers on it.
QA1, right?
Yeah,
Drag
welded the
coilovers,
dick.
just slammed him.
Goddamn power glide transmission in that motherfucker, and he's just going for it, right? Like it doesn't matter. And now it totally matters. They're full on fucking race cars. And this is what's
Right.
one of the main reasons why I was super cool with doing this with you on this channel was the whole point of this channel is to be like a regular guy's automotive enthusiast channels where like the car's not going to be worth $100,000 when I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And drifting is the prime example of how like quick that divide can grow between how some people play and how other people play and how hard it is to cross like once you get to that point, right?
Yeah.
So it used to be not even 20 years ago, right? It was just random dudes who built cars themselves, had just as enough a chance of winning as these, factory back teams, which granted didn't have a lot of money back then because nobody really knew.
Yeah.
Like the suspension technology wasn't there. None of
So
that shit was there.
Michael Essa,
Yeah,
the year he won his
perfect example.
championship, he was a privateer.
Privateer. Yeah, just came in, fucking built a car, and it was a Z3,
Built
wasn't
it.
it?
Was it the Z3?
Z4. It was a Z4. What? Yeah, he had a Z4,
Was it
didn't
the
he?
Z's? What did he win in? I thought that was like an
It may have been Michael
that was an
Essen.
E36, E46 when he won.
Not. He's in an E46 right now.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. I could have sworn he was in a.
I know he was in a Z4. I don't remember if he did well in that car or not.
I remember him doing well. It may not have been. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was this one when they put the wing on it and shit. This whole
Yeah.
fucking. I think this
Yeah.
was the one that he won in, and then he went to the 46 after that. I could be completely fucking wrong on that, dude. Like, it was so long ago. I could be completely off base. So
Right, but to
it's
your point is yeah, like not that long ago you could build your own car. If you had enough money to like get to and show up at events, like that was
you
good.
were
That was
you were
fine.
good. Yeah, you're good to go. And now unless you're honestly, unless you're a fucking fabricator with a guy somebody how to do engines or vice versa, like to compete in Pro 2, like that's a pretty tall mountain to climb. Those cars are serious fucking rigs anymore. You know what I mean? They're like what pro cars would have been season 2 of FD, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even dude like fucking, I mean, obviously they're operating at a different power level. We look at like Danger Dan's S14 that he put together on the Hoonigan channel, which is like, oh, it's just a simple 1J build. It's fucking 600 wheel horsepower.
Right. It's so simple.
It's like the simple
I
seat times
simply
9 is
don't
a
have that.
yeah. The simple seat times 9 is a 500 horsepower turbo K swapped S14 with tubs and a roll cage and the whole fucking. You know what I mean? It's like it's a
Right.
$50,000 car. What are you talking about? Dude?
The simple seat time.
Like I don't get it. Which I mean, it's cool. Like I mean, people could say the same thing about me driving an STI with the amount of money that I have in it, and it's a newer STI, right? Like I could fucking catch the same amount of shit, so it's all good. I get it. The point is, it's not how the sport was, and I think that's why you're seeing more and more like grassroots events popping up
Yeah.
because people would rather go do that. We're like, oh, I spent $150, and if I win, like I win $500, and if I don't win, I got to drive home and
I
go
went
back and hang out.
some wheels or a
Or
steering wheel or
whatever.
something.
Yeah, I found somebody who wanted to swap this for that or whatever, right? Hung out with the homies, drank some beers, and we fucking watched a gang of drifting. It was a good time. I rode,
Yeah.
right seat with this dude, whatever, right? It's chill. So the one thing that I noticed, especially in this first round, because they changed the track. They didn't change the track. They changed the code layout for the second round in Outer Zone 4, right? Is that the way that track is designed? If you're on a chase run and the lead driver does not make the effort to give you more space, which only one driver consistently did, and it was Forsberg, right? Because he
Hmm.
took that real wide sweeping line from, you have the inside clip to the outside clip type shit, right? So it's Outer
Yeah.
Zone 3,
You talking about St.
whatever.
Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis. Or is that Inner Zone 1? That's technically Inner Zone 1, where he'd cut across, but he'd swing really, really wide to do it, right?
Yeah.
If the chase driver wants to keep any kind of proximity, they just have to plow through that fucking clipping point. Like you
That's what
can't,
everybody did.
yeah, you can't hit the angle and hit. So it's like you're like, but if you have somebody like Odie who somehow managed to never one time do that in 2 days and stay door to door, which is fucking Odie Bakshi's, right? But it's like you're like always kind of at a deficit in that corner. And if you're a lower powered vehicle, you have to cut it even harder because that motherfucker's whipping through there. Like, dude, Forsberg would hit that as one big corner all the way out to OZ3 to switch back to OZ4, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just fucking rip through that thing full on. So
I, I,
you know,
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I remember watching that and watching just chase driver after chase driver. I mean, even lead drivers just take out like the front
it's
cones or clip
yeah,
one. It was crazy, but like like how you say Odie was one of the only drivers who consistently like got to where he was supposed to be and went by without taking out the zone. He still to
on
me has an
Chase.
yeah, on Chase. He
Yeah.
still to me has like an older style of chasing. Like I feel like everybody's kind of trying
He's
to adopt that James Dean, Dior, where they're instead of being wheel to back of fender, front of door, everybody's trying to be like wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper, and it's like you're gonna always come up a little short, especially on front clips if you do that.
yeah,
And
you
you're
need to be
never gonna
hitting the
get to the
motor.
outside clip. Yeah, you're never gonna
Like
get as deep
Denofa,
into the outside clip.
yeah,
So you're kind of
Denofa
just
was the only one who
monging
did
through
it.
the whole track. Yeah.
Because I remember watching Denofa and they were like giving him all the cred in his later battle where he was like riding the quarter. And I noticed that too. I have that written down. Like dudes are chasing bumpers instead of quarters, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you're chasing, and you would see which like the younger guys consistently go after the front end of the car. And it's
Yeah.
like you have to know when to pick what part of the car you're mirroring, right? Like if you're coming into a shallow inner clip, like dude, I can't be here. Like I can't be wheel to wheel up front with
Exactly.
you. Like because I can't rotate that far. Like most 90% of cars aren't going to be set up to where they can carry speed and rotate in that fucking crazy manner into a point where you have to be pedal to the metal to swing basically straight like 300
And then you're
yards.
not even, and then when you transition from that close and that angle, if you got to switch back and go the opposite direction, you damn near got to come to a stop because
To be able
you're
to get
so
enough
deep.
gap. Yeah,
Yeah, you're so deep in that when he transitions back, he's gonna tap the front of your car. So it's like, all right, I got to come, and that's why you see a whole lot of surging back and forth in
and that
the
that
chases
outer zone
nowadays
three
too.
right there.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. And the other thing that I've noticed too is that there's a lot of surging and not a lot of commitment. People will surge up and then immediately back off because they feel like they're gonna hit them, and it's like you're not like you're hitting it to get there, but you don't know when to pull off. Like you don't know when to ease into front brake to kind of just let it do its thing a little
yeah.
bit. You know what I mean?
Nobody,
It's like
nobody uses the brake pedal anymore.
it's all right foot steer and fucking handbrake. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, it's the
but
horsepower curse.
and then you look at dudes like
I
you
think
look at
Formula
dudes.
D shouldn't have that much horsepower, man. I'm sorry. I think we need to
There's
go back to the days of 700
well,
horsepower.
you
Like
look at
that's
guys
just
like Matt Field, who was his own worst enemy, has been his own
hmm
worst enemy this entire season, and he's
I
done
know
it
that's
overcooking shit in a 700 horsepower.
I think his team realized he was overcooking shit last year too.
Yeah, and like,
But it was like maybe
you,
we should doubt because I mean, and they were like, okay, well, Odie's doing just as good, if not better, than Matt Field in most of these events, and Odie refuses to go over like 800 horsepower.
yeah, no, he's at. Oh, you're right. He's still at 800, right? He hasn't
He's
hit
yeah,
900 yet.
yeah, no, no. I mean, the year, like the first 2 years when he came out, or like right when he hit Falcon, and like you just could not shake Odie. Like he was always just like teal and blue glue on your door. He was 720 something horsepower.
Yeah, he's still running an LS7 with a Vortec on it, isn't he? Or like a Pro Charger or some shit. He's got some kind of centrifugal blower on it. Like,
Yeah, because when he crashed, he
oh yeah. Well,
I don't
yeah,
know,
that's right.
a
We'll get.
different event.
It's a different event. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. So yeah, I mean, it's just a thing of like it's gotten a little out of hand, but it's like it also depends on the driver because you look at Osbo this season. I mean, granted, he shit the bed one round completely, but
yeah,
dude, he's got 1,000 horsepower Supra, and he drives it like he knows exactly what it's got, when it's got it, and how it's got it. Like some of
yeah,
his some of his chase runs are fucking wild, and he's still got that old school like just the. I feel like a lot of the dudes are just like it's a Mayweather approach, right? Like I can give up this corner as long as I'm in this corner and this corner and this corner. He fucked up in that corner, and like you have dudes like Osborne, who's just like I'm gonna try and be in your door the whole time, and whatever happens happens. Like,
yeah.
really
If you go
that's
off track, I'm going off track. If you're
yeah, that's
shallow, I'm shallow too. Like,
yeah. I just
because
want to
this is
be
where I'm
doing
supposed to be.
yeah, because you'll never lose with proximity in a chase run, right? Like as long as you don't knock the other dude out. If I'm fucking next to you, doesn't matter
I'm
how
next to
sloppy
you.
it is, I'm next to you,
Right, I'm right
and
here.
you couldn't get rid of me, and it's good, right?
Okay,
And
so I have a question for you.
sure,
Um, since we're talking about Frederick Osbo, he's in a new car. He's in a Supra,
right.
and Ryan Turek, who is currently our points leader, is in his old car. Who do you think is getting the better deal here?
That's a. I
Somebody
think
who's going to, somebody who got it's a new car to them, but it's a car that's already been
dialed.
proven, dialed. Yeah,
Dialed.
it's proven. You know what this is
Yeah,
going to do. So
yeah.
all they really did was change the seat because Ryan Turek's not as tall as Osbo, so they moved the seat up some, and little things.
Just
Um,
steering angle to make it feel more comfortable. Ackerman, that kind of
yeah,
shit. Whatever. Yeah.
or Frederick Osbo, who is trying to recreate his magic with the Supra. Because I mean,
Frederick
for all
Osbo
intents,
has been trying to
he,
recreate Chucky since he stopped driving Chucky.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
he should be like Rad Dan and just still be driving a Mark IV Super, mullet and all. I no, I
Yeah,
know, I get what you're saying. I think that um, one, it's not like Oswald had a choice. Toyota told him you're driving a Supra this season. We've already paid Papadakis for it. This is what you're riding for the season,
God,
right? And they told Turk the same thing, right? Like this is fucking. You want to roll Toyota? This is what you're driving, motherfucker.
right.
This is the shit, right? I think this season it's better for Turk because the car is so dialed and because that car was dialed by Papadakis, who's fucking Papadakis, and Frederick
And
Oswald was
Turk
the
had
pilot.
had off season time in it too.
He did have off-season time. I would argue he had more off-season time in the Rolla than Oswald did in the
Oh, definitely.
Supra, just purely because Oswald lives on the other side of the fucking planet most of the time, right? So,
And well, they're
um,
building this Super from scratch. It wasn't like
yeah, it wasn't a refresh. It was a whole new car. I mean, yeah, they had to come up with an engine program, like the whole fucking 9 yards, right? So it's like, oh,
yeah.
we're gonna build this BMW engine. We want to make 1,000 horsepower. It's like, all right, and be able to get the shit. We got a dog box swap with Mark V Supra. We got a wide body. We got to do
They
suspension. We got
damn near
yeah.
they damn near should have just given that car to Michael Essa.
It's a hot take. That's hurtful, but I agree. I think it would be hilarious if BMW sponsored Essa and he drove a Z4, the new Z4. Yeah, I think that'd
Oh,
be great.
yes.
Um, but no, you look at guys like Osbo, and they're still doing old school stick to the door type shit, right? Um, and then you have your super fucking high horsepower guys, right? So Osbo's like the 1,000 horsepower. There's a couple of dudes hovering right, like JTP's 900. Um, there's somebody else that was like 900 horsepower. Oh, Forsberg is 1,000, right? You have those dudes, And then
Yeah.
you have, I mean, Denofa has 1100, but like there's a couple other
Vaughn
guys at
has
11.
12.
Vaughn has 1200, and Dean fucking
Dean
Kieran
Carney.
has 1300 horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Twin turbo V10 Viper, which should be
Which
roll raced.
I mean, I don't understand.
He should be roll racing the streets of Houston in that thing. He should be fucking Formula Drifts in that thing, dude. Like
Right.
1300 horsepower Viper. What are you doing?
He should be in Texas talking that jive, trying to put
And when
back
you
end
watch
bets
him,
on.
I know ArcLight built it, and I know this is the most power he's ever had. I know this is the highest horsepower that car's ever seen. But it's like when you watch him
I
drive it,
think it's been around 1200 for a while now, actually.
yeah. But the third, like getting that hump to, it's like 12 fucking 90 or some stupid shit now. So it's like it's
Yeah.
fucking up there. I know Aaron Kaufman's guys built it, right? The ArcLight dudes, the old Monkey Garage dudes built it, or
Yeah.
refreshed it for the season. But it doesn't look like he has that car in any kind of control when he drives it. It does for like
Yeah.
seconds at a time, and then it's just like it's fucking fighting him the whole time, right? Like
Yeah.
it's still a Viper. It still will rip your head off
Yeah.
the time you look at it sideways, right? So it's like,
And that's like, and it seems like they just throw more power at it. Like we were 1100 this season. He kind of got it, but not really. All right, let's go to 1200.
yeah, I don't.
1250.
Power's not the answer. And then you see it too. You see it coming out of round one, which is kind of the way that so like the Mustang boys did not do very well in this event. The first round of this event,
Round
anyway,
one.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
Yeah, no.
didn't do great. What do
No.
we have here? So I have top 16. Odie won, Turk won, Forz won, right? Osbo won. Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah, Osbo came in first place.
yeah, Osbo won the whole thing, right? But
Yeah.
there was no Mustangs in the final four. There was no Mustangs. You only had a fucking JTP top 8, right?
Right.
So, and you even had Chelsea say it. You said our cars are not, we've outgrown tracks like this. And guys like that fucking have outgrown tracks like that, right?
Yeah.
Because, but it's funny that like they design the tracks. I think logistically, like they design the tracks for guys like that. When you see things like the clipping point at say inside the one inside clip, and you look at that, if you have the fucking power, you can muscle your way across that whole motherfucker and out to outer zone 3 and then back. If you
Right.
have the power versus if you're guys that are 700 horsepower, like it's a little, you got to be a better driver, right, to navigate that properly. You got to be a Matt Field where he can kind of get himself through that, and he has a fuckload of Lawrence work. So it's like this weird thing where it's like they're stuck, and then you get to the next 2 rounds where it's like, dude, the first fucking outer zone in Seattle is the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like a half-mile bank entry, bro. It's
Right, and they want you to just narrow up and just kind of come straight down
in a bump to an
in a
outside
bump,
clip, and then whip it
but
back
don't.
the other.
Right, and there's no wall right here, but don't go outside because that's off track. Like, and
Right.
it's so narrow, and then down the same alley, and then whip it back towards a wall for an
It's
outside
almost
clip,
like it's almost
and
like
then isn't it
Meehan,
an
dude.
inside after that?
It's an inside after that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, and this is same. No, the St. Louis is the same way. St. Louis going from outer zone 3 to outer zone 4 with the one that was fucking everybody the whole first round, right? Because they laid the cones out in the stupidest fucking way I've ever. Well, whatever.
right.
It's like Meehan because you're coming into that bit hot as fuck, and you have to basically not drag the wall because it'll just completely fuck your entry up, right? But you got to get real close to this shit to be able to hit that really narrow arc that they have set up, and that's a really fast
Without
section.
killing a lot of speed.
And the
Because
guy
if you
behind
go like,
you,
yeah, if you go middle of the road line, like, right,
and how many guys got fucked with bad calls and saying they locked up and all the shit, they're breaking in the zone too late and all this shit because it's like a really small decel zone going into outer zone 4. And it's just like a whole
and
fucking thing.
that's the stupid part. Like, how are you you're not driving? How are you gonna tell me where I should decel? Like, I am boogieing off this bank, bro. Like, and then there's a bump coming. I need to slow down.
I don't know enough about like logistically who designs the tracks and like how they research setting that up and like how that like
I don't know. I
I
don't
would
think there's
hope
a driver involved.
I would fucking hope there is, dude, or at least somebody, right? Something, I don't know.
I felt
So
a lot better about things when God, not Tanner Faust. Tony Angelo was involved.
yeah, yeah. I mean, who did it? Yeah, they don't have any drivers on there now. I don't even know enough about Ryan Sage to know if he's ever drifted. Like, I honestly don't know if he ever has.
Ryan's.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
I'm gonna make a little weird comparison. Ryan Sage is like the Dana White of Formula D.
fair enough. That totally makes a ton of sense, actually, when you say it. Like, it's not weird at all. It all makes sense. Um, so just going
Like
through
he's
going
just been here. Like he may actually have like hit an event or two somewhere. Who knows?
right.
He's pretty close with some of those dudes, like Jared Deanda.
Can
But
we talk about how much Jared Deanna needs to stop talking?
uh,
He seems
how
like
long
the
have we been
nicest,
saying that?
literally since the first season of Formula Drift. Jared
Yeah,
Deanda is like the coolest dude that you can only hang out with for like an hour at a time.
yeah.
Does that make sense? Like he's not a bad guy. There's nothing wrong with him whatsoever. It's just like I can only take you in
And I
doses.
think he's a good announcer for Formula D. Like he is a great voice for Formula D. It's just
He just
you
says
don't
too
have to
much.
talk all the time. Like
And,
you don't have to feel the dead space.
and he makes yeah, they make a lot of bad jokes. There's a lot of dad jokes. He's just saying, and then every once in a while he lands on something like the Monroe Monster that I actually like a lot, and I'm like, fuck, he just validated the last 18 hours of you that I had to listen. Fucking son of a bitch. So I just have like fucking some notes on the first one, right? Whatever. In top 32, there was an Rome Chambly or whatever. I can't remember how you.
Yeah,
Okay, in the when the season started, really clean E36, it went very rapidly, turned into the most beat up E36 for the trip.
but he is driving the piss out of that car.
And there was a call where there
I've
was
been
contact.
watching these events, loving this guy. Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's somebody coming out of Pro 2 who really wants to like fucking be here. That's what I'm talking about.
there was a call in there was a call in top 32 when he went against Odie, and I think it was his first collision.
Hmm.
And it was just this really weird thing coming into OC for Outer Zone 4, my bad. And let me just see if I can find it. We're just gonna see 2020 Odie versus Rome. We're just gonna run it. We're just gonna run it, dude.
All right.
So I think this is a run.
Odie is
And
on
yeah,
his
he's driving the
ass.
fucking dick out of that thing, dude. That
Oh, right. That's Odie's fault.
not according to Formula Drift judges, it's not.
I know, but as a
That's totally
drifter,
Oda's
it's
fault.
like
Totally
yeah,
Oda. The
dude.
minute I saw that, I was like, that's Odie's fault, and
Dude,
he's
if
just
we're
gonna
at
be.
Grange, we're at Apple Valley, you're at like
It's your fault.
any grassroots track, and that
You
happens,
fucking
you're
hit
like,
me. It's your fault. Fuck you.
hey, bro, like, why are you so close?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
hit your brakes.
it's and this is where I'm saying like the technology in the sport is good and bad. Like they're like now like officially smart dumb motherfuckers where they used to be dumb smart motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
They're too smart for their own good. They're making
exactly.
dumbass rules.
Yeah, and it's like I watched that and I watched the replay and I watched all 15 fucking angles and I'm like, dude, OD dug too deep. He tried to be super aggressive and overcooked it a little bit.
Yeah.
This dude then happened to have to adjust because of this shitty cone layout that you had to adjust for the second day because you put the cones off the track instead of on the line. You wanted people to imagine there was a wall there
Which was
for.
so dumb. Oh god.
So you're
I
telling
remember
me
when I
that
was watching it, I was like, why is that who
the funniest thing was is like they were like, well, there's a line that we painted, and I'm like, dude, if I'm this
who can
way
see that while you're driving?
if I'm 60 miles an hour, probably 70 at that point, swinging this way to look that way,
I'm
right?
not looking at some
I don't
painted
know
line
fucking.
on the
I
ground
can't
that's
see
probably
that.
been
I'm
ran over 100 times by now and has like black marks all back. Come on
never
now, that
mind.
was
Never mind the fact
that's
that
so stupid.
when you sit in a race car, you're bolted to the floor. You can't see shit over the car. You can't see anything. That's
Right,
you know
dude.
it's like
When I'm in the black car, this is it. Like this is all you
yeah.
see when I
That
drive
was how it
by
was
you.
with me in the 240. I mean, because it's
Yeah,
240, they're always getting bolted to the ground, right?
but yeah, I don't know if I sent you a picture of how the
You sent me a picture of the seat
seats
saying I
are
was lucky.
mounted.
Yeah, because you said I'm lucky because I'm the only other person tall enough to drive that motherfucker.
Right, because I wasn't paying attention when me and my buddy did it that night. It was late. We were stoned, and we were just like, "All right, man, I got to drive home. Like, we got to finish these seat mounts real quick." And he was like, "All right, sit in it." He just tacked it, and then I just he went through. He tacked the other side, and we did the other side, and it was like, "Oh, there's no slide action here.
Yeah, this is where I sit now.
This is where I sit now."
Yeah, I'm thinking about putting a bucket in the STI, and I'm going back and forth with, do I put it
Like an
on sliders or
adjustable or
nah, just a fucking
bucket,
bucket,
bucket.
just a bucket.
Put it on
Ev-
sliders.
Yeah, eventually, I'm going to get this really expensive pair of Recaros that were the factory STI option in Japan, and they're still heated, but they're way more race buckety. But it's like $3,500 for a pair. So we're rocking highlighter yellow NRG joint for a minute first. And then we're gonna transition those. We're gonna do $500 seat to $3,500 seats.
Oh
Um,
wow.
watching like the top 16. Is Jeff Jones running a Pro 2 car in Pro 1? Because it feels like he's running a Pro 2 car in Pro 1. Like it just
Yeah.
like I was noticing
They're
that
the
his
same
fronts is.
thing.
I mean, they
They're
are
the
and they
same
aren't.
thing, man. That's what I'm
I
saying.
know.
They're doing too much. Like Pro 2, there should be a definite difference. Like I'm
I
saying,
think there
everybody in
should
Pro
be an
1 is just
engine.
like, I can't really afford to go to all 8 events. That's really what Pro 2 is saying. I can't afford to hit all
Yeah,
8 events. I can afford to do 4, so Pro 2.
I think it's all the same until you get to your Von Gittin Jr., your Chelsea DeNova programs, your Papadakis programs. Until you get to that level,
Right.
like yeah, there's a pretty. But I mean, the thing is that even in if you look through these events, like there's a reason you see the same guys at the top all the time. They have the most money. Racing is it's how fast can you afford, right? That's always
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is like super fucking blasphemy, but I think that they're going to need to do something about the power creep in Formula D because it's going to become a situation where if you don't have $150,000 race car and somebody paying a race team in this whole 9 yards, like Pro One is going to become a problem where like they already don't have 32 drivers running top 32. There's like 3, 4 fucking buy runs every
Yeah.
event, right? And it's
Yeah.
because nobody can afford to perform at the top level, and unless you're performing, like nobody wants to go into a motorsport and like, oh, I'll be in the top 16 every week, it'll be great, whatever. Like nobody wants
Right.
it. I go
I
there to
don't really
win,
have to
right?
try. Yeah.
Yeah, I go in there to win, right?
As long
So
as
it's
I
like,
show up.
yeah, exactly. Like, so I think that that's a problem.
I mean, it's good
So
for the drivers who are
of
uh,
course,
in the position to just show up right now,
Michael
because
also,
like you said, there's a yeah, Michael Essa, but there's like oh boy that drives a Cadillac, because what
I
he was in
like
Pro
that
2
guy.
last year. Yeah, Taylor Hall.
I fucking like that guy, dude.
Yeah,
I
I
like that.
like
He's
Taylor.
like calling out Denofa. I like that car. I like that. It's a any time there's a different chassis in Formula Drift, like I
I'm
welcome
all
it.
about it.
I'm
I'm all
all
about
about
it.
it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because I'm tired of
I
seeing
don't
the
even.
same thing.
I got like when it was all fucking FRSs and BRZs, I like fucking couldn't. And even when there's too many S chassis in them, like
Yeah,
some of these Japanese S chassis, like Taguchi's S chassis is the Japanese version of Von Gitten's Mustang. Like they
yeah,
buck the same, they three wheel the same and shit.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
whatever.
That
Like,
thing's neat. That thing's pretty dope.
let me see. I'm just gonna bring this shit up. Taguchi. I can't spell.
The bear.
It is the beer. Oh, this is a great photo. Like, come
Yeah,
on, dude. How do you not like? Look, he's purging nitrous. That's what I
right,
fucking love. He rolls up in his S15, like banging a beat on the purge button, like rolling
right.
up to the line in this stupid ass fucking car, and it bucks, and it, the rear, you can tell that it like, it grips on fucking lean, just like those Mustangs do, right? So he's always pitching, like
Yeah,
especially in round 3 and 4, you see him coming off that bank, and he's just freewheeling it fast as fuck,
yeah,
like pushing through,
yeah. Especially in his chase runs, he would
because he'd
just
be
come up.
kicking that, yeah. He was cool to watch in the sense that he would wait until the lead car transitioned to even think about transitioning. He's like, I'm just gonna
But
keep
he,
pushing.
yeah, because he would throw it in super hard. Like he was like, okay,
Yeah.
you transition. Now I'm about to just like come in hot right
Yeah,
behind
and
you.
he'd be right on you. Yeah. So if he lost any round on that lead in bank, he would fuck it. So let's just go to round 2. So the long and short of it is, or we'll get to round 3 and 4. Long and short of it is, and the final four in round 1, Forsberg had car trouble. Oswald took the win. Odie fucked his chase and he hard parked, basically just
Yeah,
hard parked on his lead run in outer zone 4, which was again fucking everybody that first night. So Turk took the win there. So essentially, Odie gets
wait, in round two,
round 1.
round one was Osbo, Turek,
Os,
Odie.
yeah,
Oh, okay, I thought you had jumped around two already.
no. Osbo, yeah, Osbo took first place against Force because Force had car trouble, right? No, I'm sorry. Osbo and Turk went against it. That's right. Force went for third place. Odie got the bye run. That's why he got third place. That's why Force got fourth place in round 1. Long and short of it is Osbo won, and you start off with. I mean, Odie had a really good event. I still consider Odie
Yeah.
almost a privateer, and he had a really good event. He has very. I mean, he runs the company that sponsors his car. I don't really think that counts. It's like
Well, I was gonna say, how do you consider him a privateer?
because that money's his anyway.
Yeah, but he's factory back. He's with Falcon, so that they're doing everything. He's just dialing in the suspension.
You think? Do you think that? But do you think they're cutting him? Like, do you think they're cutting him and JTP the same kind of checks that they're cutting like Gucci?
I would think him and because JTP's kind of the same situation. His whole Mustang is White Line Performance, which is his company.
Right, exactly. And he built
So
the fucking car himself. That's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
that's my question. Because I feel like the Ford and the Toyota guys get the biggest like backing monetarily. The Toyota guys being next. Well, yeah, Toyota, Ford. Yeah, that's really it, dude. Like, I don't think there's any other.
Nissan,
I mean,
Chris
dude, they've been.
Forsberg.
Yeah, but how old is that car? Started
You think they're gonna give?
373.
You think they're gonna give him a
I
400?
I think because they just sent the proto to his garage for him to like have Larry Chen take photos of it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that yes, he will get a 400. I fucking hope so. I'm so tired of looking at that car, dude. I'm just
Yeah,
like, and it becomes one of those things where it's like I think it almost lends itself to the whole like Chris Forsberg always wins things because you always see him getting the W in the same fucking car. You're in, and you're out. Chris Forsberg gets the W in the
I
same
don't know
fucking
what
car.
it is. Chris Forsberg's cars, like his Z's to me, like going dating all the way back to like the convertible, the orange NOS
I
Energy
forgot about the
convertible. Like,
convertible. Yeah,
yeah, his cars, like something about him, and maybe it's the orange. They're only cool for like half a season or a season, and then afterwards
because
it's
Z's
like,
aren't
oh,
cool,
come on,
dude.
man, change your
Z's
car.
Z's aren't that cool, dude. Like, I hate to break it to Z boys, but like they're cool because they're inexpensive, well balanced rear wheel drive coupes, manual coupes, right? It has a big
Yeah,
engine bay. You can put whatever you want to do it. Parts are cheap. You can make them handle really well.
I used to like the Rockstar Z. I'm sorry, Tanner House Z was dope.
That's because Tanner Faust had a cool style when he drove. That's why. Tanner Faust
But
Z was
that Z
cool
was
because Tanner was.
nice. But
Dude,
that,
Tanner
but
Faust made a Passat cool. It's all good. It's Tanner Faust makes shit cool.
he did
That's-
low key make it like guys are
yeah.
really licking up Passats for a couple of weeks.
Dude, he pushed a V8 powered Scion TC, which is like the dumbest fucking play.
Oh, that NASCAR truck motor
Yeah.
TC, that thing
The
was
one he ran
ignorant.
Mulholland in, that thing was ignorant. And that was didn't Papadakis build that car too?
Papa Doc is built to everything
Yeah, it was
dope.
Rockstar, yeah. So Papadakis
Yeah,
built
it
that
was a
stuff.
Rockstar car. Yeah.
So going to round 2, same bad channel, same bad station, still in St. Louis. They did make that huge adjustment to
Papadakis
Outer
is like
Zone
a
4.
tri-star.
What's happened?
Thinking UFC stuff, I'm like Papadakis is like the tri-star of drifting because like
Oh my
tri-star
god.
had was in Canada. They had George St. Pierre, and then they had my God, what's the guy's name? I forgot his name. He's in Bellator now. He had a war with Robbie. He had 2 really great fights with Robbie Lawler, but it was just like, yeah. So you had Tanner Faust, and now you have Frederick Osbo all under the Papadakis team. Like you just
Yeah,
keep getting these monsters over here.
it's fucking ridiculous, dude. Yeah, you have Frederick Osbo, you have Ryan Turk
Yeah, now you
running
like
this.
now you kind of like bringing Ryan Turk slowly into the fold. Yeah,
It's such a funny thing that I'll get back to this point, but anyway, yeah, top 32 is top 32. All the people that you think are gonna make it would make it. Taylor Hall got knocked out, who I was bummed to see lost to Travis Reeder. Then Travis Reeder goes out the next round. Fucking anyway, who gives a shit? Yeah, you've got Odie, Dye, Vaughn, Turk, Denofa, Fours. They all make it through, right? Just fucking everybody you think is gonna make it through makes it through. Um, Toxic Teen, Gucci and Burkett, like he just Brad Dan just like fucking drove through Gucci, just like drove through him. So that was like a pretty duh.
right, right.
I mean, um, yeah, he just is that the event where is that the one? Where, was it round 1 and 2 that Gucci was on painkillers, or was that it's the third and fourth run?
Um,
This man
Damn,
literally
was that the
admitted that he
third and
was on
fourth row?
painkillers while he was driving a race car. he
Yeah,
was like, I couldn't really focus.
I mean, so was what's the name? Reese Millen back in the day. He broke his back and still showed up
Yeah, but
to Irwindale for the event.
he didn't make painkillers a reason why he was doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like he just like
But everybody knew. Like they were like,
yeah,
"Didn't
but
you
Gucci
break your
narked
back
on
trying to do a
himself.
backflip last week?" And he was like, "Yeah, some stuff."
Oh my god. Oh, that's so funny. Matfield versus Frederick Osbo is chucking Omanji big brain because he basically got Osbo to give him the run because Osbo tapped him when he went wide to Manji initiation into OC. And I was like, is Manji big brain in Formula 2 2020? Like, I get this motherfucker. You didn't give me enough room off the start, bitch. This is my run now.
Right.
That shit was funny. And then it was funny, every run after that, stayed the fuck out of Matfield by waiting to initiate it.
Right. Everybody just like gave him like
Yeah.
whole car length to initiate. Like, go ahead. We'll
And
catch up.
the reason why I think he did it on purpose almost is Oswald was for like was really strong top 32 that round. He was running real good that day, and he was just like, "This
Yeah.
is way easier if I just get him to fuck up." So I don't know. And the way he talked about it on camera afterwards, like, "That's why the rule's written that you have to give me a bumper and fucking tail capital." Like he had his
He
whole.
seems like that kind of dude who's like, "All
He
right, bro, you
really
gonna get
wants
up
to
on
win.
my ass? Here, I'm gonna,
Tap.
yeah, like
It's all your fault, motherfucker.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
win by rules. I'm gonna win by driving. I'm gonna win by all of it."
He does seem different this season for sure, and even Deanda and Sage were talking about. He seems a lot hungrier. He seems
Yeah.
like he's just in a different fucking all that CrossFit's going to his head or something.
Parkour.
SN, yeah, SN Taguchi, Asa takes it, whatever. Um, the one more time between Denofa and Forsberg, the first set
Mhm.
of runs were so tight that it was probably the best battle out of either event at that
Yeah.
track. And then to the point where, but it was to the point where I did think Force took it on his chase run because Force is dude knows how to chase cars, right?
Hmm.
They did the OMT, and then Denofa took it
Well, I felt the
because
same way. I leaned towards fours, but Denelf like for his lead run, I think he could have been deeper in some zones. So I think most of the judges probably saw it the same way. It was like it's so close, and it was like we could do this one more time. Like we could see how this like if anybody's gonna make a mistake or change up strategy or something.
right, yeah, no, I completely agree. It's just one of those things. Forsberg is he's the force for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Um, Dylan Hughes makes it through. Turk and Gittin go OMT. Turk
Yeah.
gets it because Gittin gets lost and just like initiates 10 feet too soon. And it's just,
Yeah.
he just got lost in Turk smoke, which that little motherfucker makes a gang of smoke. I don't feel like there's a car that sits on its ass like that car does going around that Corolla. Like it's tucking the whole
Yeah.
fucking time he's on that thing.
Yeah.
Which is so funny when you look at that and then you look at Dean Kearney, who's like jacked up a million feet in the air in the back end for when that thing fucking squats. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's interesting to watch these setups. And then like again the regulars, JTP beats Jones like to the fucking surprise of no one. I don't think anybody was shocked when Jeff Jones couldn't beat JTP. JTP is a fucking animal, but
Right.
um,
I like Jeff Jones.
I do like Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones is a scrappy, real dude. He's a
Yeah,
fucking real ass
I
dude.
like yeah, I like how he drives.
Yeah, I don't hate how he drives. I think his suspension's too soft at the front end, and I think it fucks with him
It's
because you
something
watch
because I
it.
feel
You
like
watch
you're
that
waiting
front
for
end
him to like
bounce.
take that leap and like start winning, like breaking it like to the grade 8 and stuff like that a lot more. Because the way he drives, like his lead runs are pretty good. He goes for it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just I do think it's a matter of some kind of suspension setup issue because I feel like he can never throw the angle, even though he has the kit. You can see how wide the front end of that car is. He's got
Yeah,
the angle, but he can't hold it. Like he has
for
to go
some reason.
shallow. I don't think that front end's stable. I think it's too loose. I think it's moving around too much, and it doesn't just kind of hit the top of shit and push. It's kind of like articulating a little bit more than it needs to because you watch him like on off throttle, the front of that motherfucker bucks forward so hard. So maybe it's just too soft on
It
that
does.
setup,
Yeah,
right? That would
I forgot
be
about
that'd be
that.
jounce, right? So it's too soft on the jounce, and it just bucks in, and then it completely now because if your front end's moving that far forward, your ass end's going that far back. So now you just unsettled the rear of the car, right? So you're
Yeah,
losing grip at the back end. You got too much grip in the front end, and you weren't used to having that much grip. So now that means that you're tucked too hard, which means it's the first thing you do. You're gonna back it back out. So if you had any angle, you just gave it back up, just to get the car to settle back and down and like hit again, right? It's where you feel like you can get back in it. Because obviously you
yeah.
don't want to go too long with no smoke, because then you're decelling it, and on decel zone, it's fucking all the problem, right? So I just think it's like it seems like it's just got some. They don't have the suspension dialed on that car, from my very fucking amateur watching YouTube opinion. But like, I think that I like the car. I think the car's cool.
Oh, you're fucking watching YouTube opinion. Yeah.
I mean, fucking whatever. Um, but yeah.
I,
So
yeah, I
anyway,
can't figure it out. I know what you mean. Like, there's something about it because, like, I love the way he drives. Like, his leads are aggressive. His chases are fucking aggressive.
he
But
is
his
fucking
chases, it's
aggressive.
like something, like you say, something about when he chases, he can't keep the angle and the speed.
He can't keep up, and I mean
Yeah.
he's down on power, but not that down. He's not that down
Right.
against Odie or JTP. JTP's pushing 9. I think he's pushing 8. His car's
Yeah.
probably lighter, so he's not in a terrible position. JTP is also not the fastest motherfucker on the planet. He just has a
No, because
really cool.
JTP throws a ton of angle.
JTP has a ton of fucking angle.
He's a
I like JTP.
Mustang Forest.
Yeah, I like the fact that he manages to. I mean, it probably attests to why he hasn't won through like since like 2012. But like, I like the fact that he's still at least competitive and still has a style that is JTP. Like you like the way he flicks
Yeah.
that fucker around. Like that's the way JTP drives. Right, you can see it from a mile away.
Yeah.
And he's got that old school mentality still. That first 5 seasons of Formula Drift kind of mentality when it goes to how he approaches running and all that types of shit.
Yeah.
Um, OD beats Die in top 16. I felt like Die didn't commit to the chase. Like I felt like he'd surge in and he'd back off, and he'd lose all his especially going through like outer zone 3. He would just lose all of his fucking steam. You wouldn't want to like stay on it. Odie's pretty consistent. If you were going to be able to hammer it with one person in front of you, Odie Bachis is not a bad person to pick.
All
He's
right.
going to stay in it. He doesn't really do fucking shit. So yeah, I just thought he kind of
It's
gave
almost
that
like
one up.
chasing Chris Forsberg. He's going to do the same thing
He's
over and
consistent as
over
fuck,
and
dude.
over again. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll give you every opportunity to shine if you can hang.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, right? Like if you can keep up, like you can make yourself look good because the car is going to be in the exact same place it was 10 seconds ago. Everything's
Right.
amazing. So yeah, so that's cool. Um, Going into grade 8, Phil beats Gucci. Not really surprising there. Sorry. Essa was down on power of the bonehead gasket. Denofa takes the win. Almost fucked up his chase run for no reason.
Yeah.
Denofa, I think, is his own fucking worst enemy sometimes. Like, he's aggressive to a point fault. You know what I mean? It's like just
Yeah. It
dialing
was
down
like,
a little
I'm
bit.
sure somebody in your camp told you that Michael Essa doesn't have power. So
And you're like, I'm going to fucking run it anyway. Yeah. It's just like, me and my
here I come.
aluminum steering wheel are going to fucking do it anyway.
3-wheel up your ass.
Yeah, right. Also, can we talk about how many times Jared DeAnda pointed out that the front of that car is gold? It's like every time he talked about Chelsea Nova, he had to bring that shit
Right.
up.
The
OD
gold,
beats
the gold
JTP.
front end must.
Yeah.
The gold nose.
But it's funny that I say that because going to Final Four, Nova beats Field. Field cooked it on the chase, pushed out, fucked himself over. Odie literally put it in Ryan Turk's butt.
Yeah.
Turk had no power steering, but Odie's like the Chase Green of St. Louis, apparently. So he
Oh,
fucking
that's
rolls all
right.
over.
Turk's power. And you know what? If Turk didn't have power steering problems, I think he would have won that event.
I also think he would have won that
I,
event.
I
He was
think he
really
was
strong.
gonna. He was on his way to taking that event.
That was the unfortunate side effect of running doubleheaders. It's
Yeah.
fucking hard on the car, dude. And if you don't know your power steering, if you have no inclination that like your power
That you're
steering is gonna
perfect.
fuck up,
Gonna
you're
get
not gonna
hot.
check that, right? You're gonna check the fluid, you're gonna make sure all the fittings look good, and you're just be like, fuck it, it's golden. Whatever. You don't know you're gonna put the fucking power steering pump. Or
Right?
even
Because did that ever happen? Did that ever happen last year to Osbo?
no. And wait, is that
Not that
electric
I.
power steering or is that no, that's still whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. They
Right.
didn't know it was
Right.
gonna
I'm not
fuck up.
sure.
Right. That's all that matters. And it's kind of a thing you don't think to check for like that.
Right.
So in the finals you have Field and Turk. Field and Turk one more time. Turk still takes it. Denofa beats Odie. Denofa had a great set of driving. I mean, when he's on, he's fucking on, dude. Like, it looks great. There's a ton of smoke. It's aggressive as fuck. That fucking V8. It's loud. It's fucking stupid. It's great, right?
Yeah. When he's on, you can't really chase him
No, and Vaughn's the
because
same.
he's
Vaughn's
super
the same way.
committed. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
super committed. When they're
yeah.
on, you can't chase him.
No, no, the
You got to be
Mustang
ready. You got to be ready to crash.
because
You
he
got to be
is.
willing to crash. Yeah,
That's
because
because
he's
he
willing
is.
to crash. Both of them
He's
are.
like,
So you got to be willing to
yeah.
crash too.
Vaughn said if I crash it, he'll give me another one. So we don't go.
Vaughn's got Mustangs stashed all over the place, dude.
Dude, Mustang. He has his own line of Mustangs. He sells those fucking things. He's literally driving his own car. He's
I
driving his
know.
own car. Think about how sick that is. Be Vaughn
Living the
getting driven.
goddamn dream, dude.
Right? Oh, this Mustang, she man, I designed her. They just
Yeah.
make her for me.
Why'd you make him so country?
I don't know, man. I know that he's not. I was thinking of Travis. I was thinking of Taylor Hall.
Yeah. But no, I
So
saw an RTR on the freeway today.
they're tight. I'm not even mad. I like those things.
I'm,
I
I
like the
like them
fact that you.
too. I
I like
rarely
the
see
fact,
them, but when I see them, I'm like, okay, you know what's up.
and then stage 3 is like a totally dailyable car. It's still $70,000, but like,
Yeah.
it's 70 grand for a daily drift car. Probably a stupid way
Okay.
to spend money. Honestly, the longer I think about it, it's the worst amount of money it is. So yeah, we already kind of talked about Seattle a little bit, but I think it like, dude, the first fucking corner at that track, it's the most overdone thing. Like there's
I
no
don't get
reason.
it.
I don't
There's
understand
no
what.
reason for
It's
It's not like there's
so
a
hot.
pole over there. It's not like there's a wall back there.
It's
No reason
it's
that you just can't let them come off the bump, keep riding out in that trajectory. Why make them cut it and like come down this little straightaway? What the fuck is the point of this?
and that was literally aside from the whole JTP getting debacle in the second round and the fourth round, like that
Yeah,
first section is like every single time something went ass over tea kettles right there. Because and look how
they've
bad it
always
fucked.
had problems at Seattle though. Because isn't
Don't
Seattle
confuse it.
where
Don't confuse it with the
isn't
wall where there's the giant midfield bump. because they both start with a bang.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying like there's just something about the tracks up there. Because isn't
Well, it's
Seattle where Chris T-Bone Forrest?
yeah,
Yeah,
and also Die crashed really bad there
yeah, yeah.
at
They have
Evergreen.
something where they like to make them come off of these banks across these bumps and transition really funky.
Well, they even do it on other shit. Like, wasn't Vegas like Vegas used to be a giant coming out of that because you were like a cement fucking hallway, right? And you come out of this shit and it's just like fucking K rails. The way they used to set that track up, like the dudes used to
Yeah,
fucking rear end that shit all the time. But yeah, so it's just weird choices considering power level and speeds that we're operating at this point. Like the way these dudes are like the way these dudes are cooking it out that bank, they're so fucking fast. Like look at when like round two, Vaughn and Chelsea go head to head, right? They both hit the wall independently, not even that deep into
right.
the corner, like really pretty closely after initiation, and the entire suspension on the driver's side of Chelsea's car is fucked.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
wheels are wobbling all over the place, dude. It's like you were in drift for like 10 whole seconds and just
yeah,
demolished your. That's how fast that thing is, dude. You know what I mean? So it just is it cool to watch? Is it sick to watch two fucking cars like hot rod it fast as fuck sideways, throwing a fuckload of smoke down a big ass man? Like, fuck yeah, that's cool. I love that shit. That was like I loved watching every second of that. And
right. That's the whole reason you go.
when they hit that last little kick over to be able to hit that angle to hit that second outer zone and then kick it back into the third one and then around the corner and back to the fourth one. When you hit it, it's like that shit was sick. Fast and
Yeah,
slow, you swung it, everything, and like because when you hit that inner zone, they're trying to pick that speed back up, so they're just fucking balls in it, just ripping, and especially when it's the really loud guys like Taguchi or Vaughn or Chelsea or whatever. It's just a cool situation, but like that is throwing a situation in a driver's face where there's a high likelihood of him fucking it up really badly and then like seeing how he does. Is that like really like a fair way to judge a competition like this? It's like, well, if you get through this, you can get through anything. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
yeah, like is that cool? Is that what we want, or would we rather have a smoother course where you can really see some style and whip some shit around? And because I would rather see that. Like I would rather
I'd rather see
see.
that.
I
I'd
wish
rather see that.
backies were
That's why I
applauded.
think that
I wish backies were applauded, dude. How fucking
that's what
fat
makes me
would that
think like the guys that are involved in Formula D don't go
drift?
to drift events or something. Yeah, don't drift
Yeah.
because it's like you were
How can
so
you
out
not
of
think that's
touch with
cool?
like the
How can you not think
grassroots.
that's cool?
Hey, like you're not the NBA. Don't be like, hey, at the parks they're playing like this. You don't give a fuck about the park, bro. The NBA. It's
Yeah.
like, nah, you and grassroots and Formula D are like
They're supposed to be
they're right.
adjacent to each other.
Yeah, they're right there because that's really all it is. It's like your grassroots, you hit pro am, and then you go pro two, which is technically you're in, part time Formula D driver.
Yeah. It's true. I think it's the problem is that we're watching them try to legitimize a sport, right? They're trying to make a business case for it. And now that, and you have to standardize things to a point to make that possible. The difference is that the problem we have is that, like, if you're talking about something like the NBA, right? Are there referees? Are there fouls and shit? Yeah, but the point system is like everybody can see and very clearly understand why when he who's standing here and shot it, it's worth 2 points versus why if he's all the way over there and does it, it's worth three.
Right.
there's like
Right.
there's a really easy breakdown, but this shit is or in a normal racing situation, the guy came in first. That means he won. The guy behind him did not. Right? That's
Right.
it. This is because of the fact that it's judged. You can watch it for years and never really understand why one guy won and another one didn't when they both had pretty clean run, right? Unless they crashed or like really fucked up, right? You can like not really get it. It's
But
you have to.
that's not right. Are you talking about from like just somebody who doesn't know anything about the sport, or like if me and you watched it and be like, I know he
Well, go
won, but I
back
don't know
going
why, because like
go no going back to like the Rome Odie thing, right? Like I think most people who like the sport at a grassroots level would be like, dude, Odie fucked up. Like, why are you giving
Right,
that to this? You know, like,
right.
but the fact is like, well, the rules state and blah 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 blah. And there's another really good example of this, and I'll get to it. I'm just gonna run through the standings at the end because we've been doing this for like an hour and a half already. I don't want to make this be super long. Long
Right.
and short of it is that the track was a little fucky. There was some cool battles.
Oh yeah, it
I
rained
don't.
one day.
Yeah, it ran one day. I don't think that round three was that exciting of a round. If I'm going to be completely honest, it
Um,
a lot of solid runs. Like getting and die. Getting was all over Die's ass in the final four. That was a cool fucking run to watch. Um, Essa murdered the big bank. I
yeah,
mean, not. I'm sorry. Osbo murdered the big bank against Essa. Just fucking
yeah. Round three
on
was a
him.
little. Round three was a little. Yeah,
Blah. It was a little blah. Matt Field was in his own way all weekend. Painted it in the
yeah.
same
Oh
fucking
God,
place, right?
yeah,
And just,
yeah,
I love the fact that he drives a quote unquote underpowered car that he built himself. But he just like, and he always gets like 80% of the way there. Not always, but the runs where like you really think you're really rooting for him, right? You're like, dude, you fucking
yeah,
got it this time, baby. Like you look great. This is great. And then he
yeah.
cooks it at the end, and you're just like, dog.
It's like
You know,
no,
Matt Field is
no,
Matt Field is my Danny
Matthew,
Green for
come
this season.
on.
He's my Danny Green for this season. I had such high hopes for Danny Green going into that fucking shit, and then every time he'd pull up and he'd be like, "You got this, baby. Fuck you, you suck." That's like, yeah, that's my relationship with Danny Green. Um, no offense to
Ah.
Danny Green or Matt Field.
Right, but I know what you mean. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah, he
want you to
does
be
that.
good.
It's just like, come on, bro. Like this, like,
I
yeah,
want
he
it
will.
for him. I want it
You'll
for him.
watch him in an event, and he'll beat the people he's supposed to beat, and then it's like, all right, yeah, like now you're going up against like Vaughn or somebody. Somebody's like,
Right.
you should be on this level now. Like you're ready. You've got the
Yeah,
car. You've been here. Like
this car is
beat
sick. I
them
love his car.
before. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then yeah, we'll say Danny. So I still like Matfield. We're not gonna call him a Clipper.
No, I'm not gonna disrespect him like that. That
No.
would be that's yeah. Put some respect on his name. And even in like grade eight, the Jr. Taguchi, I just like Taguchi. I like his car. I like the way he
Yeah,
drives.
I like the
I
way he
like
drives.
I like the fact that he knows what the fuck's up. Like when he's mid bank and he's like trying to catch up, and he's like, "I'm gonna even it out, mash the fuck out of it, crank it back over." And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, you know exactly what the fuck you're doing. Like, this dude gets it, right? And I'm like, yeah. So like, I like that a lot. I like the way his car's set up. The car's rowdy. It's fucking ridiculous. It's got nitrous. It's yellow. It's got a GTR engine in it. It fucking
yeah.
bangs and pops.
And like you said,
It's,
he just drives like a maniac.
he
Like,
does drive, and
here I
he
come.
looks like a 15-year-old high school kid.
Yeah,
Man does not age whatsoever. And
no,
no, and he's like, he's super nice. All the Japanese dudes in the sport, literally every Japanese driver they've ever had in FD US is super like respectful, happy to be there, like fucking
right, right.
for it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So it was cool. Long and short of it, Griffin takes it against Osbo. Um, yeah, Griffin. I mean, Gittin. Sorry.
Getting
Yeah,
grilled.
Peter
It's
Griffin. He
Griffin.
reminds me of Peter Griffin. As first,
Are you
Gittin.
watching Family Guy on the other TV?
No, I'm not. I don't have another TV. It's a monitor. Um, yeah, Gittin poured it on, dude. Gittin poured it on against Osbo in that
Yeah,
round.
Getting had a great round four.
Yeah, he did three. Um,
Oh, round three still.
yeah, and we're gonna get to four. And I'll admit it, I'm cutting straight to the end of round four because that's the
Okay,
only
so
part
they're
that
kind of
matters.
spoiler that right there. Round four was
The,
actually pretty good.
yeah, round
I
four was
watched
pretty
round
good.
four again yesterday. Round four was really good.
So it's getting Osbo, Essa, random Michael Essa, whatever.
Right.
Um, so that's how round three ends. Going into round four again, Adam LZ in the top 16. Let's talk about Adam LZ real quick, just real quick. I
Do
don't
we
want to
have
stay
to?
on this too long.
All
I
right.
love his car. I love Adam LZ's car. 2JS15. It's super Japanese. Like the livery is super Japanese. It's a fucking old school drip car. Um, I get that he approached this as like a fucking financially speaking. If I was gonna get into like Pro One, this is the year because I get to go to two events every time I pay to go to one. Right?
Yeah.
He's also got YouTube money, so
Right.
I mean, he's got a carbon roofed S15. That's his Pro 2 core. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking.
Right, right.
He was like batting above the rest of the field in Pro 2, but now he's like seeing like this is these fuckers are fast, dude. Like these motherfuckers are
Yeah.
fast as fuck, and like it's not a thing. But I mean,
Not gonna
he's
lie.
being
When I saw him, uh, when I saw him in round one, I wasn't excited. I was like, oh
no,
god, here it goes. Like
no, he
the
shit the bed in
guy
round
like
one. Yeah,
fought his way in, and yeah, too much car. Like he's about to get smacked by the big boys. Here it comes. By round four, he's figuring it out.
he's getting there.
He's getting there. I like the way he's driving. Yeah, like you said, he definitely shit the bed round one. After that, he like
He's getting there.
I
He
know
just,
somebody smacked him in the trailer. Like, hey, dude,
I mean,
just drive,
he's a
get it
good
together.
driver. He's a good
That's what I'm saying.
driver. I
Like
just,
somebody was just like, hey, dude, just drive, just do your
yeah,
thing.
you're fucking thinking this shit too much, or you're getting freaked out by.
Yeah, because you could tell like he was just doing way too much, and it
He
was
was
like, is
bucking the
that the
car a lot.
car?
It was a lot of like micro corrections and shit instead of
Yeah,
just
and
kind
then
of
you'd
letting
see
it
him
run.
like his qualifying runs. You'd be like, oh damn, like that car's legit. Like he's like getting it. And then yeah, like you'd see him chase people or be in the lead running, doing all kind of wonky shit.
And I don't think people understand like when you're pretty fast sideways, like corrections are like a domino effect, right? Like the more little
Yeah,
things you do, you're just unsettling the car a little bit more every time you do that because it's already
right,
fucking sideways, right? Like it's like not
right.
supposed to go this way. So
So
when
you're
you're
just
just
making little corrections because of
and
things
they're
that are like happening either in front of you or
right
next to you or whatever.
when you can maybe hammer down and keep your hand on it, just fucking let it eat over it and then fucking figure itself.
Well, I mean
Yeah,
round one was what his first time. Well, he did pro two,
yeah, he did pro too. But that was his first
but
pro
I
round.
mean, who
Yeah,
who was his who was his first battle in round one?
fucking Ryan Turk, I think.
Right, up his ass.
I have it written down
That's
actually.
like
Oh, maybe I don't.
that's the big leagues. Like when you get there, and it's, no matter how good your car is,
No, his
yeah,
first round was fucking Chris Forsberg, dog. So they put him against the most consistent dude in Formula team. Yeah, he can make you look good, or he can make you look like you have no fucking clue what you're doing, and that's exactly what
right.
he did to Adam Elsey. That kid Alec Robbins. So yeah,
Oof.
Matt Field shits his bed against JTP. JTP was on. This is top 16. Turk Robbins. Robbins wins. Um, wait, no, I wrote that wrong. No, Turk wins.
You wrote
My
that
bad.
wrong.
I just circled the wrong one. I did that a couple of times and I crossed my missing one. Yeah, Turk wins because Robbins over fucking cooks it for the 57,000th time. He just drives like a young pissed off Chelsea DeNova without the restraint, which I want you to think about how that sounds. He's crashed like into everybody that he races against. He crashes into him, right? So it's like he's gonna be that dude where he's like,
It
oh,
was
here we
funny
go.
because when that happened, I was I don't think I was like actually watching the TV. I just had
Yeah,
it on in the background. I was listening to something else, and I remember uh, Jared Deanda saying like the younger generation. He goes, they just got to slow down just a little bit, just a little bit.
know when to pour it on, dude. Know when to put it. And I think a lot of these, if you're coming out of Pro 2, I think you look again. You look at dudes like Carney, whatever so pronounce his name, hitting Osbo mid 4-digit power numbers. I mean, Dago Sato still had he had a 1400 horsepower Lexus SC with a 2J in it, which is like, but he could handle it, right? He could use all that power
God,
because he's fucking
that was
Dago
an
Sato.
that was an amazing. See, that's what I missed. That was an amazing year in drifting. Like when
Yeah,
he
because
just came out of nowhere with that car, and
yeah,
everybody was like, he's got how much horsepower? 1400, 1200, 1400. He ain't even gonna be able to handle that. And then Long
cloud
Beach, he was
machine.
just like,
Yeah,
like, and then he just won like every event. It's
yeah,
like,
and that was when that I mean Vaughn had 850 horsepower. Yeah, Vaughn had 850 horsepower then, and he was one of the higher horsepower guys. He was like the
yeah,
horsepower guy before that. He was like the
yeah.
guy.
And
Like,
then
why does
and
Vaughn
then
have so
that
much horsepower? Yeah,
and then that next year it was everybody was batting 1,000.
You have to know. It's just it's like it really. You don't have to. You do have like again Matt Field 700 horsepower. I think he could be competitive at 700 horsepower. He's just
I
not
hope that's
there.
what happens. I hope that the field comes back down. Like everybody stops chasing more and more power, and people are like, okay, look, let's find that happy medium where it's like I can get around this track as fast as possible, and I don't really have to slow down that much because with 1,200 horsepower, and some of these tracks are so like Washington, like it's such a
It's a lot.
weird track to have that much power.
I think that I think that like the fundamental difference in, and I think this goes by like I think this shows in how the 2 rounds in Seattle played out. The fundamental difference between that kind of power is that kind of power in the hands of somebody like Frederick Osbo or Von Gittin Jr., who are very calculated drivers, is considerably different than the hands of 1,100 horsepower in a Chelsea Denofa who drives with his nutsack,
Right.
right? Like
So give all of
Von,
these dudes a 800 horsepower cap, and you're still going to have more fun with somebody
yeah.
who, like an Osbo, who can drive anything, anywhere, anytime, or you know, 700. That's going to make Chelsea braver. Like his nuts are going to be bigger. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can put this into
what
the wall.
what I'm saying is that like Vaughn doesn't use that power for speed, right? He uses it to be able to pull himself out of a situation in which maybe he overcooks the angle or
Yeah,
maybe he's not as close as you want to be and he can make a slight throttle adjustment and be able just to like make up that extra 5 feet, right? And just really sell that chase run or create that gap, create that distance, and sell his lead run or make the smoke. Even though they don't really get judged on smoke anymore, which is fucking bullshit. It's more of like a measurement of whether you're on power or off power, which is like the
I
wackest
forgot
thing.
they used to judge them on smoke.
It used to be speed, angle, and smoke, baby. That's it. The good old days. That's it.
Oh man,
That's
that
all you
was so
need.
stupid.
That's amazing. What are you talking about? How much
No,
smoke you make?
because
How
it's
sideways
like,
was
dude,
he? How fast he going? That he wins.
it's
Like
like, dude, if
that's
I'm running a stickier tire than you, then hey, here
yeah. They
we
didn't have
go.
tire rules. They didn't have tire. There was no tire rules whatsoever.
Yeah, if I'm running a
Other than it had
stickier
to be
tire than you, I'm gonna
yeah.
make more smoke than you are.
It's yeah. Other than they had to be DOT approved street tires, right? But it's like when you're talking about things like Achilles and like who's the other one? Nanking. I know a bunch of track guys that run Nanking tires because they're hella fucking cheap and sticky as shit for like 40 laps, which is all you need, right? So
Nice.
like track, not like drag cars, right? So you
Right.
have all these crazy fucking Chinese tires that do all kinds of fucking shit with the inner layers of the compound. So the second you get the outside rubber worn off, it's just like a completely different tire. Wait, why do you think these guys spend so much time in the fucking burnout box? You just got to get that initial rubber off, get to the good shit.
Right.
um, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just one of those things where I think you're right. I think either they're gonna have to do class by engine size or class by power level or something because like the shit is just the spread's fucking way all over the place, and
Yeah.
it ends up being a situation where there's almost no point in even watching top 32 because you're just watching the same dudes you knew weren't going to make it to top 16 not go to top 16.
Yeah.
You know,
You can just
and if
come
they
in
do,
on the back end.
yeah, and if they do make it into like Taylor Hull getting into fucking grade 8 was like the craziest thing in the world to me. I was like, this motherfucker is really going to go up against Chelsea Denofa for Final Four. This is sick. That's good. You know? So yeah, going in grade 8, Jeff Jones, JTP, unfair. You lost video.
All right.
There you go. Sometimes you just gotta leave and come back.
Well, it came back like twice.
Oh, whatever.
All right. Yeah. Edit
Anyway,
out the other shit that I said.
I'm gonna edit out all that shit. I don't even know what you said because I couldn't hear any of it, so it's fine. It's
I
perfect.
tried to finish it off.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah. So I mean, Denofa takes it, sick lead run,
Mm-hmm.
took Hull out on Chase, which was cool to see. Like, yeah, it was cool to see Hull get into grade 8. Getting takes 4s after the one more time. We've been chasing fucking issues. Um, JTP takes out Turk, surprising no one. Gitten takes out Denofa after they both put it in the wall, like we already talked about on the fucking first run, and they had to rebuild their cars.
Right.
Whatever. So here's the point where
We
because you and
almost
I
had a Mustang.
three-peat,
Yeah.
almost had a Mustang three-peat, but Here's the
but
point where
Denofa,
he denofed it.
yeah.
So I had a moment after um after the Final Four, and I'm looking at this YouTube video.
Hmm.
We're going into the final, right? There's like an hour left in this YouTube video, and I'm like, how the fuck is this? There's 2 races left. Like I don't like. Denofa has to put his car back together for the third place run. Fine, right? He does that. He gets it done. He fucking loses. So it is what it is, right? So
Right.
he made them do all that fucking work for nothing. Um.
Because
So
didn't he spin against Turk?
yeah, he spun against Turk. So it's
Yeah.
like he looped it, right? So all that work and he fucking shit it, right? So Turk takes third place. It's just getting in JTP, dude. That's it, right?
Right.
Easy. 2 super fucking professional drivers who used to hate each other, just saying. And going into the situation, JTP's lead run, he way overshoots it going into the inside clip. Vaughn makes the questionable decision to try to pass him on the inside. Long and short of it is, JTP comes back around to initiate. He doesn't get fully past him on initiation going into outer zone 4. In some universe, JTP is still the lead driver. So Vaughn essentially crashes right into the back of JTP's car. He's at fault. Vaughn's at fault to the judges, which I was kind of on Vaughn's side. He was super offline. Like he should have fucking backed off at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I felt the same way because at that point, I mean, so Vaughn did hesitate. Vaughn saw it, and I think it was like, when's
do I
the
do it? Do I
last
do
time
it?
we've
Do I do it?
right? When's the last time we've had a pass in Formula D? Like,
Years.
right. So he
Had to
probably
be, right?
saw it and was like, "Oh shit, right, right, we can still do this." Like,
Yeah.
and then he got on the gas, but like Justin Pollock said in his in his post race interview, he was like, "Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna let him
I
pass me."
wasn't just gonna let him do that. Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah,
Which just shows you the type of dude you're dealing with in JTP, right? Like, like you should, like as Von Gittin Jr., you should also know, like he's not gonna let me get past him.
I mean, I think that's kind of what you have to. If you're gonna drive a Mustang, you kind of gotta have that kind of mentality.
I mean, I think you could put JTP in a fucking 8.6 and he'd fucking feel the same way, dude. It's just that's
Right,
just
but
who
like if you're
Justin
gonna
Pollock is.
thrive in a Mustang, like
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got power, you
you
got the
got to be
park
a
feel and
certain.
shit.
Yeah, but not
You
everybody. I
yeah,
mean,
you have to hate
Ken
crowds,
Gucci had one.
reliability,
Ken
and Ken
Gucci
Gucci.
had one.
You can have it saying Ken Gucci had anything doesn't necessarily make that thing better. To be fair,
Tony Braccio Hoppa had a
you
gnarly
can't.
ass one.
It's Bracco Hoppa. You can't even say his name Brachio. Instead of
Whatever,
Brachiosaurus, motherfucker, it's Bracco
dude.
Hoppa.
He's got damn near that many letters in his fucking
He does
name.
have a long last name. He does have a fucking long last name. He
I
had a
think it
nasty
is
one, but
Braccio Hoppa. He's not. He's like
I don't
Hawaiian or some shit. I don't know.
I don't
Whatever.
know. Whatever. The point
But
is, yeah,
that
he had a
eBay
didn't
Mustang was dope as hell.
wasn't that an LS Mustang? Or was that still a Coyote Mustang? It was twin turbo. I know it was twin turbo,
The
but
whole
like
thing was off eBay, so it could have been anything.
oh wow. So basically they're just doing the Hoonigan donk, but like 10 years ago? Fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
Um
but it was dope. But like,
I mean Mustangs have always been competitive chassis in the sport. It's the Camaros that they've had problems with.
yeah,
And I think a
yeah.
lot of that has to do with inherent visibility. Nobody's really ever been competitive in a Camaro, which is really
Michael
interesting.
Essa wasn't really
No,
good in
Goober
the
wasn't
Camaro.
like he was.
Goober, he. Mm, I feel
He
like
had
one year
moments.
he kind of had it.
Didn't Tyler McQuarrie have one?
Tyler did have a Mustang. I mean,
A
a
Camaro.
Camaro.
Yeah, but those were all Gen 5s. Those were all Gen 5 Mustangs, and nobody's fucked with them since they switched to the Gen 6 Camaro. Sorry, not Gen 5 Mustang, Gen 5 Camaro. Nobody's fucked with them since they went to the Gen 6 Camaro, and the Gen 6 Camaro is such a better car. It's 300 pounds lighter. The chassis dynamics are way better. They make angle kits for them. I've seen them, but like nobody really fucks with them. I think it's because you can't see them like at all. Like they're still like that. And when you're sitting down in it, you're literally looking up to see out of the side window. Like, doesn't make any sense. That's
This
my
is
guess.
I have a roommate. I mean, not a roommate. I have a neighbor trying to talk to me about cars one day,
Yeah,
and I was explaining that to him about the Camaro.
you just can't
He
see
was
out of it.
like, he goes, I didn't have no problem seeing out of it. I can see out of it fine. I was like, okay, whatever,
You're
bro.
lying to yourself. I love
Five
Camaros, and I will
five.
admit,
Like you're 5'5", dude. You can't see out of that goddamn
he's
car.
sitting on a booster seat, 100%. Um,
He's laying down too.
yeah, Jesus. Oh, is he? He's got the fucking lean going.
Yeah,
So
I did some work on his G35, and when I went to go pick it up, like I'm 6'2", he's like 5'7" or something like that. When I got it, and I was like, fell into the back seat. I was like, what are you?
that's a that's a Jess drives, dude. I don't fucking get it. So yeah, so
Really?
what? Yeah, she does. I don't know. Let's finish
Oh
this
my
up. Let's
God,
finish this
did
up.
not
We can
expect
bullshit.
that. Okay.
We can bullshit this afterwards because we're going
Yeah,
on 2 fucking hours. I still gotta edit this shit. So
yeah,
anyway, yeah, Vaughn pins it in the back of JTP on the swing back. Vaughn argues that JTP should let him go. JTP said that ain't happening. They give it to they put the fault on Vaughn for it. So everybody's like, he's totally
but
fucked.
that's kind
Even
of fucked up because it's like they should have a rule for that. It's like if you're that far off, like if you swing that wide off to where somebody can pass you and they go to pass you, just kind of
the way the rule is written is
if
that
you
you
hit
have
him now, it's like
well, the way the rule is written is it has to be an inside clip. The driver has to, and they even went through the checklist of the 4 criteria for a legal
and
pass it for. And
Vaughn
the
met
thing,
them all.
except for he wasn't completely clear of the car at the end of the zone, because JTP was still on his rear wheel. Vaughn should have backed off, and so the whole call was when JTP went wide, Vaughn should have went with him instead of Vaughn
Yeah,
sticking to the line. Vaughn should have went with him, so he fucked right
right.
into it.
So
Anyway,
that's what I that goes back to the point I made earlier where they have these rules that don't really seem to like they can fit them wherever they please. Because if I'm chasing you and I'm supposed to go wherever you go, if you go wide, then there
I'm
shouldn't
supposed to
be a
go
reason
wide.
for me to pass. Yeah, because I should go wide too. I should go
It
wherever it is
the
you go.
conflict the
If I'm supposed
conflicting
to be
rules,
running a
yeah.
better line than you, then I should be able to pass.
And
And
but the
if
way they've
you
been telling it for these
get
last 4 events,
offline, you should let me pass.
I agree with you. I think that like Vaughn was 75% of the way clear of him. JTP should have backed off.
Yeah.
But if you get past, it's an automatic loss, right? You got
Yeah.
past. So he didn't want to take up the automatic loss. Vaughn wanted to win, whatever. The funniest part about this whole thing is they do all this shit. JTP takes his 10-minute fix for being on the bad side of a wreck, right? Plus his 5-minute competition timeout. And then he fucking cooks it on the chase run and they go to it one more time anyway.
Right.
They rerun him. It's pretty close, whatever. I think JTP cooked it on the chase run on the second time around too. Von Ginn wins. Von
Yeah, I
Ginn
think same
wins.
spot.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Von Ginn wins second round back to back. So he basically owned Seattle. Um,
Right.
to wrap up, the sport has changed for sure a lot.
A lot.
If you've uh, if you've watched the sport for as long as like Jamal and I have, um, it's a much different place than it used to be. It's a much different place than it used to be, and it's not as entertaining sometimes. It's a lot more like lockdown, all that stuff. And I think if anything, I'm still gonna watch it. I mean, it's drifting at its highest professional level with the craziest, most advanced cars. So like, of course, I'm always interested to see it. But
But I'm
I
gonna
think
watch a gang of other shit as well.
I'm gonna watch a lot of
I'm
grassroots
watching
YouTube
Lone
videos. Yeah,
Star. Yeah, I'm watching
yeah,
a lot
All
of Lone
Star
Star.
Bash, yeah, Vegas Drift, and all that
European
shit.
All Stars. I'm watching a lot of that.
Oh, King of Hell! King of Hell is awesome. If you
Yeah,
like drifting and you've never watched King of Hell, like you're fucking up. Those crazy
yeah,
European motherfuckers, dude. They drift in the middle of old Eastern European villages. They don't give a fuck, dude. It's sick. It's all
love
legal,
it.
but just the courses are ridiculous.
Right
And
in the
so when
middle
you
of the
hear American
forest.
drivers, yeah, when American drivers are complaining about the course is too tight, it's like, really, this was designed for a
Then you
horse-drawn
go to
carriage.
You want to go to Witch's Kettle?
Exactly. So there's a lot of fucking cool, drifting out there. That isn't Formula D. Not to say that Formula D doesn't have its place, but there's other shit. If
Well,
this
it's the
doesn't appeal to
highest
you,
level of drifting for a reason.
it is. It is the highest level of drifting for a reason, but that doesn't always mean that it's the best. And in the words of
Yeah.
Jeremy Clarkson, on that bombshell, that's gonna be the end of the episode. You can find me on Instagram at night.sti. You can find Jamal at, you just have a new one now. What is it? What's your new Instagram handle?
Oh, Mustang_Mall.
On
MAL.
Instagram, MAL. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. This episode will drop tomorrow morning, which means I have a long night ahead of me. We are doing a drift
Oof.
companion. We are doing a
This
drift companion on
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. We're going to probably start around 1. 30 minutes to recap Saturday's event and talk 32 of real quickly just to go over who won, who lost, and where we're at that point. And then we're just going to kind of be hanging out, bullshitting, screaming, drinking, watching Formula Drift.
Speaking of drinking.
Are we doing? Oh, wow.
So,
I knew this
what do you
was
mean? Are
coming.
we? No, dude,
I knew
because
this
you
was
brought this
coming.
up in the
I
text.
did bring this up.
See what happens when you have
If I
kids. Now you
come
gotta back
home,
down from shit.
if I come home with a 12-pack of Bud Light, Jess gonna be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Okay, well, you brought
I'm
this
down.
up. So,
Fuck it. We're
back
doing
in
it
the
all
day
day with
when
the
me and
lady.
this dude used to watch Formula Drift because we were broke, we'd spend money and get 1 or 2 really good beers and then a pack of Bud Light.
Like a
And we would
30
watch
rack of Bud
Formula
Light.
D. You're right, we would watch Formula D. And every time there's a one more time, crack it, pound it, go back to your regular drink. So that's
Oh
what
my
we're going to be
god.
doing. If you'd like to join us, get yourself a pack of Bud Light, Coors Light. Don't
Whatever
do
life
Monster.
you're.
Don't get right. Don't do tequila because some of
No,
these
it's just
events, the one
White
more times are just
Claws.
out of hand. Yeah,
White
White
Claws. Some
Claw.
White Claws are great because
You're
you just
watching with
can
your lady. Watch with a White Claw.
see. I can bring home a pack of White Claws and not bat an eye. I could bring home a 30 rack of White Claws and nobody thinks twice.
Nah, dude. Me and you are doing Budweiser. All right,
Okay.
that was the original agreement.
I'm lucky I have a bathroom close. Anyway, thank you for listening or watching, whatever your preferred method of bullshit media consumption is.
Yeah.
This has been Clutch Kick, the RevMatch podcast, Drift Companion, and we'll catch you guys on Sunday. Take care. Peace out.
All right.